Welcome to this Postal Methods tutorial on how to send a letter via email. So with this process, you're actually not even going to go through the Postal Methods portal to start. You're going to start actually from your email. So let's go there and see what we're going to do. Okay, so as you see, you're going to go to your email to create an email. And for the address to send the email to, it's always going to be send@secure.postalmethods.com. Now, this here basically allows you to send letters that you want just simply by sending an email. So it's a really simple, easy way of sending letters to Postal Methods to be printed and sent out for you. Now, for this to work, there's a number of things that you need to do, but it's really simple. The attachment needs to be of a supported file type. So you want to have it be a Word file or a PDF, for instance. Additionally, you want to make sure that the return address and the send to address are on that letter in the appropriate spots, so that when it's printed, it will actually show up in the windows of the envelopes. The subject line doesn't matter necessarily in the sense that it's not going to print anywhere, but for your sake, this could be where you would put a description of what letter you're sending. That way later, if you want to look in your email outbox to see what was sent and when it was sent, then you could find that letter relatively easily. Now, when you're going to actually attach it, just as simple as you would any other attachment, you'd attach that file, you'd find the document you're going to send, you'd double click and have that attachment go into your email, which is what I've done here already. Then all we need to do is click on send. Okay, very nice. So that did go out, and we're going to look at that in just a moment to see how that looks on the postal method side of things. But I also wanted to show you as well, using the same method that we did, we can actually send multiple documents out within that email, again, which makes it a simpler process for you. So subject line, again, you'd call it whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it a sample test of a zip drive, because that's how you're going to do it. So for instance, when we go here to the attachments, in this case here, for instance, I have all the letters that I'm going to send, and just right click them, send to, and I created a zip folder for it, which I've already done. Once I've done that, all I have to do now is just attach it to my email, and just that simple. Now that I've done that, all I have to do is click on send. And now here in our postal methods, we see that has come on over. Those 3 files that I sent in the zip file came on over just fine. They came through just fine. Green check marks means all the addresses are good to go, and it's just that simple. So it's a fantastic way of doing it. Also, let's go ahead and go here, and we'll pull in over the other letter that we did earlier. And here it is. It was just that simple as well. The original letter that we did, the single letter, came over, and that processed as well. Green check mark, which is what you want to see. So it just makes it really a simple way of doing it. Now, keep in mind, this is for individuals wanting to send letters that does not need to be HIPAA compliant. That applies to those who are sending documents that are medical documents. But for everyone else that does not require HIPAA compliance, this is something that you can utilize, and it's a very simple way of doing it. Okay, so I want to take a moment to explain something to you really important. When you're using the email functionality to send documents to Postal Methods, the body of the email is ignored. We don't see anything with it. It doesn't matter what you put in here. It's not going to change anything from our perspective because we ignore what's in here. That includes links that are in here. The email that you're sending is simply used as a means by which to submit documents to our Postal Methods portal processing. So again, what's in the body of the email doesn't matter. It can be blank. It can have something in it. It doesn't matter. We're going to ignore it. Now, when we're talking about the attachments, we want to also make sure we understand the importance of when you do send documents to us is that the first page of the document that you send must be the page that has the return and send to address in the proper places. So now, to be clear, the return address isn't necessary, but we do recommend it. That way, if any mail that goes out that perhaps has a wrong address or they've moved or whatever, well, it'll go back to you and you'll know that never reached them. So we do recommend it. But again, the first page of any document that you send must have that on the first page, the return address and send to address in the proper places. Additionally, especially when you're considering sending multiple documents, which you certainly can do in zip files, which I've showed you, but I also want to make sure you understand this as well. It's important that when you do send out multiple documents, that each document, each letter, is its own separate file. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. Let me go to the files here that we have, and we're going to see, for instance, we have 3 different letters, right? We have the letter from Jane, one from John, and one from Jordan. And earlier what I did was I put those together in a zip file, and those are separate individual files. And in here, for instance, let's look at this one for Jane. Okay, so in her case, again, the very first letter in this document has multiple pages, but the very first letter is going to be the one with the return address and send to address in the right places. Now, it doesn't mean there can't be information here. There can be. Your letter can start here, but these have to be in the right place, and then any subsequent letters after that would follow after the main page that has the send to and return addresses there. Okay. Now, let's also look at something else. I want to show you an example of something that would be incorrect. That's what we call the failed attempt. Okay, so we have this here. The beginning is fine. This is what we want. We want the return address sent to address in the right place. Things are good. But here's where we go off. When someone tries to continue that same document with another person's name and return address here. And if you do that, it's not going to process correctly. This will go through, all 12 pages will go through, but it's all going to be under that very first one that was on this list. It's going to go all to this one person here. So instead, what you must do is you must have each of those in separate files, right? Like we did with the other one. So even this one here with Jane that has multiple documents, that one, in addition to John with multiple documents and Jordan with multiple documents, those would go in a zip folder. And because they're all separate individual files with its own cover page that has the return address and send to address in front, then they're going to send separately and thus effectively go through. So in fact, let's show you what that looks like. We're going to do that. I've done that here. And you notice here, I'm going to send that as we wait for those documents to process. And again, I send a zip file with those various documents. Each of those documents had multiple pages, but they all each began with the cover page that had the correct return address and send to address in there. Okay, all right, very good. Now that has processed. So because we sent a zip folder that had all those documents in them, each separated with the cover page in front of each of the other ones, then everything came through just fine. If you notice, we have everything with green check marks. Everything's good to go, and that would process. So as you can see, it really can be a very nice tool using the email functionality. All you have to do is just make sure you understand what's required to get it out and to use it properly. And from that point forward, it can be a really nice, simple tool that you can use. Welcome to this Postal Methods tutorial on how to create a mail merge in Word for the email to mail feature. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open up a blank Word document. Once you're in here, you want to set your margins first and foremost. So let's go over here to the layout, select margins, go here to custom margins. You want to make sure the top one is set to 0.40. The left margin is set to 0.50. Now that we've done this, you also want to make sure we also have any other documents that we're going to actually send out in this mail merge. So let's go over here to Insert and put a blank page in. So let's say the document we have going out is a document that's saved from a Word file. So that's the case. Maybe we can choose to just copy that, and we can paste that in there. Or let's say we also have a document that is a PDF file. We can do that as well. To do that, you're still in Insert here, so that's good. Go over here to Object, select Object, Create From File. We're going to browse for that PDF. Once we found it, we will upload that to it and click OK. And there we have. So these documents are going to go out to every one of the people that we're sending this out to. Now let's go back to the top here. Now in this instance, now we need to create our return address. So we'll enter that now. Also want to make sure there's no space in between here. So let's go ahead and highlight all this. And we're going to go here to line and paragraph spacing, line spacing options, and make sure this is set to zero here on the after spacing section, which now it is. Very nice. Once you've done that, put your cursor here next to the right of the bottom line, click on Enter. Now that it's right here underneath the address, we want to tap on the Enter button 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now at this time, now we want to work on our send to address. So to do this, we're going to go over here to Mailings, select Start Mail Merge, select Letters. Now we need to choose where that's coming from. Let's go over here. We're going to do an existing list. This is a CSV file you already had. This is what you're using to pull the data from. So we'll do that. Okay, now that we've done this, now we need to go over here to address block. And you see there's different ways in which you can come over, just the first name only, first and last name, various ways you can do it. So I'm going to keep it like it is. I like how it is, the first and last name and the address. If we like it, then we click OK. And just to be on the safe side, we can go over here and highlight that and just make sure that the line and paragraph spacing is still 0, which it is, so that's good. Very nice. All right, so now we've gotten the next step here done. So now what we want to do is we want to go over here to the top line. We want to highlight this, then go over here to the home spot, and we want to go over here and select heading number 2. This is how it's going to separate all the different documents, right? So now that we've accomplished this, now we can go back to Mailings. And we can do Finish and Merge. And we want to set this to individual documents. And select All for the merging of the records. Click OK. Very good. So now we're going to go over here to View. Once we're in View, we want to make sure that the print layout is highlighted, and it is. And we'll click on Outline. Now you notice that the cursor is right next to the top one here. We're going to select Control A, which selects all of this. And now we're going to select on Show Document and then Create. Okay, so that has separated all these documents. But now we need to save it. So let's click on Save. Now here's something really important. You definitely do not want to save this to a OneDrive, for instance, if you have a Windows computer. You want to save this directly to the C drive, directly on the computer itself. That's an important step. So this is what I'm going to do. It's set to that. It's set to the C drive, the user, I'm the user, and under Documents. So I'm going to call this Mail Merge Test. Of course, you call it what you like. We're going to save that. All right, so let's notice now. Let's see what that has accomplished. If you look in your drive now, you see how it separated all three of those documents. Now it's three files rather, because that's all I had. I had three individuals in my CSV file, so that's all I'm sending out. It's the three individuals. Now in your case, it could be much more, but for the sake of the tutorial, I only had three people in my CSV file that were sending this out. And so, but the key thing is it's automatically separated all three of these. So now what I want to do is select all three of the files. I'm going to right click here and send to zip folder. Now I'm going to name the zip folder, in this case, mail merge zip for email, but you name it whatever you want. Now that that has been created, now we can go to our email provider or email and send this file to be printed. All right, so we open up our email. So I'm going to name it mail merge zip test. And as we know, the body of the email doesn't matter what's there at all. It's completely ignored. But we're going to select that attachment, which is the zip folder that we created. And now we're going to click on send at secure.postalmethods.com. Okay, we go over here to process documents, and now we just refresh this and wait for it to come on over. Which it has now done. See there, everything came over. We have a total of 12 pages. Everything has gone properly. The green check marks are here. Everything looks good. So if we open up this document, there we have it. We see that everything is populated properly and all of our documents are here. So there you have it. Very nice, easy way in which we can send documents to our clients or to your clients, and in a very easy way, simply by using the email to print feature. Okay, so at this time, I want to show you a little trick that you can do by using our Postal Methods system, just to check and verify that the letter you have created is going to match up well and appropriately with Postal Methods, so that when you use the send by email feature, the letter that you wrote is going to have the return address and send to address in the right spots. So you can go here to our Postal Methods portal, go to the letter section, and go to the documents tab here and upload the file that you want to double check just to make sure it's going to work. So let's go ahead and browse for that particular file that we're going to use. Okay, once you uploaded that, let's go ahead and go to next step, and you'll see right then and there at the very beginning here, if your addresses line up in those boxes, then that shows you're good to go. So that's what you want to see. If they're outside those boxes, then you need to adjust your template to where they will fit in the box, and that'll work. So this is just a quick, easy way to do that. Of course, after that, you wouldn't use this anymore because you're doing it via the email. But this is just an easy way for you to check and see if your template is going to work with Postal Methods before you send the email out with those documents.